an active ingredient in the life of a professional race car driver, where life or death can come at any time, where skill is often the deciding factor. Now, what you are about to see is an example of such skill, where at Riverside, this fellow completes a successful 360 and stays on the track. But others can't quite pull it off, like this racer who tries and loses it into the dirt, rolling up the hill to his waiting admirers. Or this driver who spins off the track into a solid wall of hay bales, proving the point that yes, you can drive through hay on your way to the track, but only if you wave to the crowd while doing it. High-speed left-hand turns can also be a problem, because if you spin out, your next stop is the wall. This is what's known as kissing the wall. Then there are the walls which eat race cars, such as here, where two track officials have front row seats. The start of a kart race, here again at Riverside, is always a crucial time for each driver to collect his thoughts and jockey for the perfect position in the track, especially in the last 500 yards before the green flag. As each driver puts the pedal to the metal, it's a free-for-all, at least until the first turn. Shooting around this quick left-right-hander looks easier than it is, and at this speed, the leaders and the followers seem to pick the right line. But coming off a straight, everyone is nearly flying around turn number 9 at Riverside, using the entire width of the track and getting as close to the wall as possible to maintain speed. Everyone makes the corner. Well, almost everyone. Makes high temperatures and hot oil. Break a hose, crack a block, or lose a crucial bolt, and hot oil on a hot oil pan can be hazardous to your health. This driver must first breathe black smoke from his burning engine, then white smoke from the fire extinguisher. But he appears all right once the fire is under control. Casualty of backwards driving. The start of this race begins innocently enough, and no one nudges each other. For the moment, no one's running over each other, around or through the pack in their desire to get to the front of the pack. This driver is a member of the 360-degree club. And then there are the drivers, like Johnny Rutherford in car number 3, who'd rather park on the track and watch.
Here's what happens when two drivers, Steve Holzmer in car number 66 and Gordon Johncock in car 20, fight for the inside line where there's only room for one.
As other drivers pass in single file, the track crew works feverishly to clear the way. For sale, one race car, slightly used, $500, or best offer. In a cluster of cars down this straight, one driver's mistake could cause a chain reaction crash. But he brakes in time to keep the race crashless, for now. Car number 85 swings both ways before dropping out. His backwards driving while in gear has started a fire. And as an extra bonus, his car seems to be stuck in reverse. The wall, if used properly, can be a racer's friend. But for Jerry Grant, the wall has proved an enemy. Forcing a disastrous 360 degree, resulting in a wheel in search of the driver. Into the turn at Ontario, John Mailer and Jerry Grant get just a little too close for comfort. Car number 48 locks the brakes and spins completely around before smacking its nose into the wall. In slow motion, if you look closely, you'll see the car directly behind 48 just barely miss a head-on collision. But fortunately, he does miss, and number 48 high-sides along the wall, safely out of the center of the track before he drops onto the shoulder. At such high speeds, even the tiniest reaction can become a driver's undoing. Just a bit too fast around the corner, and that's it. Another slightly used race car. But this Indy car racer, now on its way back to the garage, will receive plenty of attention by a host of top mechanics, and will no doubt see yet another day at the racetrack. Grand Prix President Christopher Poe used to gaze at the Pacific and imagine it was the French Riviera. His dream was to create a world-renowned track in Long Beach worthy of the Grand Prix circuit. So he acquired the services of Grand Prix great Dan Gurney to lay out a course along the streets of Long Beach. Gurney designed a 12-turn, 2.2-mile circuit that gave the participants a twisting test of horsepower and gearing. From the start at Ocean Boulevard, around the curves of Linden Avenue, and onto the long, fast sweeper of Shoreline Drive, back up to Ocean via the zigzagging Pine Avenue, the track ranged from 190 miles per hour in the straight to 40 miles per hour in the corners. Long Beach was a gear shifter's paradise. For the first time, in 1978, in downtown Long Beach, the throbbing roar of high-performance engines echoed for miles around. But out on the track, drivers from all over the world were competing on a very tricky and unforgiving circuit, which had several surprises in store. Such as here, where Hans Stock in car 16 literally runs up the backside of another racer early on in the race. The Long Beach Grand Prix stands unrivaled as a test of skill, courage, and of course, reflexes. It's very easy to lose control in the corners after the sweeping, nearly mile-long straight. Sometimes you can't help but slip. And when you're fighting for the inside line, sometimes you'll resort to anything, as proven by Carlos Rutman on the inside, who has spun and is facing the track, and Patrick Tombe, who has gotten stuck on the outside and is facing the wall with really no place to go. Rutman, who had won 22 races that year, checks briefly for damage and makes a break for it. Long Beach has a reputation of being extremely challenging because of the demanding track and the small distances between the cars at high speed. Anything can happen. Such as here, the beginning of the 1979 Long Beach Grand Prix. Trouble in the cramped driving conditions, especially in the first lap, is worse than driving in rush hour traffic. More trouble when Niki Lauda in the Parmalat car slams into the rear of two other cars, launching it completely over one car, which manages to escape without harm. Track officials, and of course the drivers, is fire. Even when the most extreme precautions are taken, no one can know when fire will strike. Like here, when Rene Arnoux' engine bursts into flames. Even if you do grab the inside, there's no guarantee you'll make it round the corner, demonstrated here by Carlos Rudman in number 2 in the Black Martini Lotus. And while drivers' skills are important, a fast and competent pit crew is vital to success. Here, Jean-Pierre Jarier almost smacks Jody Scheckter in the red Ferrari. But Scheckter manages to stay in a lower gear and passes Jarier from the outside. Long Beach is not all fun and games, but when the checkered flag falls, it's just a matter of time before the champagne begins to flow. As the train of cars streams into the straight, Nelson Piquet is in the lead in the first lap, and traffic conditions force American Mario Andretti into the air, which leaves Ricardo Zunino right into the wall. He's not injured, but his race has ended in the very first lap. When there is hardly any passing lanes. Drivers around the world have different ideas. Some stay on an inside line through each turn, while others are forced to the outside, such as here, where car number 27, Alan Jones, shows that he'll make it around this corner no matter what it takes. But Jones is not finished yet, as he rear-ends Alfa Romeo driver Bruno Giacomelli, who is surprised he regains his position and speeds away. Jones, with a little push from a track official, gets back on the track. Here, in 1981 at Long Beach, while most of the drivers had little difficulty negotiating the twisting track, some drivers just couldn't hang on. and spins out of control. Fortunately, no one is near enough to collide with Villeneuve and cause more damage. And here is a perfect example of how to pass two cars using the inside lane. Formula One racing is both a physical and mental challenge. It takes enormous amounts of concentration just to make it around the track. But here, Keke Rosenberg in car number 6 concentrates so hard, he forgets to turn with the others and follow his own path. At Long Beach, a multitude of hairpin corners can frustrate even the most experienced drivers. The tight cornering required of both the cars and drivers definitely take their toll. Here's a common situation at Long Beach. Just as Gilles Villeneuve on the outside in car 27 attempts to negotiate a sharp hairpin, Nelson Piquet has his eye on what little track is remaining and can't help but run through car 27, which bounces and spins 180 degrees on two wheels before coming to rest facing the opposite direction. Especially at the start of a Formula One race, the traffic situation can get quickly out of control. Even on the straight, when everything seems to be going along just fine, something unexpected happens. Passerby. But that's what happens in international competition. With ongoing regularity, with cars and teams costing millions of dollars and professional race drivers going all out to win, this is one very exciting form of racing. Endless collisions, crashes, and crack-ups are part of the game until the very end of each Formula One Grand Prix race. Such is the nature of the battle. With no quarter asked and no quarter given, every racer knows that only the best man will win. Speedway, Gardena, home of the notorious Demolition Derby, was one of the first ever stock car racing tracks. Drivers raced every week with their dreams of victory being broken over and over again by incredible near misses and hair-raising accidents. When stock car racing had just begun, there were no definite categories for the different types of cars, which caused major mishaps. More than 10 years years passed before the sport became popular, and strict limitations were imposed upon the drivers and their machines. Getting used to the new rules was easy for some, and not so easy for others. Stocks, spectacular as they were, differentiated from the more sophisticated modified. Although the new modified were much safer, they still contributed their share of excitement. Occurrences for the modified stock drivers. New Berman and Car 92 loses control, causing a devastating crash. Jim Hurtubise with his blue number 75 racer slams into the wall. Bob Bondurant, learning from his mistakes on his way to become one of America's best race driving teachers. Dust while he acrobatically rolls over. Richard Petty, with his Plymouth, loses it once and gets lucky, but Lady Luck is not with him this time. Ken Mills has his hands full. This time he has escaped injury, but his car has been completely destroyed. Danny Weinberg up the wall and down on his wheels. Melvin Porter in car number 5 doesn't make this turn and goes for the sky. Grimacing with pain, he slowly exits the demolished car. Replayed in slow motion, this crash appears even more terrifying as Porter tries to negotiate the turn at too high a speed, brakes, loses control, and sends the car airborne, which shatters tires on impact. Ontario Speedway a few years later. On this asphalt oval track, the action is brutal. Tries to win the race in reverse, but slams into the wall. Decoy, Illinois, one of the infamous dirt tracks, takes its toll on man and machine. Don White slides in the dirt at high speed and hits the barrier. His front end looks like it's going to burst into flames. As he pulls himself out of the car and away from danger. But White is not the only one having a bad day. In Riverside, car number 22 smashes, luckily, into a hay bale, while on turn number 1, another participant rolls his car over 15 times before coming to a stop. In the early 70s, the expression modified stock began to take on its true meaning, as major modifications were made to the race car's basic design. Production sport models, like this Firebird that you see trying an off-road shortcut. Although the modifications greatly improved the handling of the cars, the sharp, quick turns at Riverside created a major challenge for the drivers who were acquainted only with circular tracks. And the result? Spin-outs to the left and spin-outs to the right. More spin-outs. And more spin-outs. Circular tracks, such as this one in Winchester for the Indiana round of the American Speed Association Championships. At speeds of over 160 miles an hour, with very tight spaces between the cars, there is no room for mistakes, and the very close concrete walls are unrelenting to the drivers who miscalculate a maneuver. The result of such a collision could only be a mess in need of tow. The start of the IROC final in Atlanta. The first lap is completed. And the leader coming in is Darrell Waltrip, with the purple car, driven by Bobby Allison, right beside him. They fight head-to-head for the lead, while the talented Neil Bonnet closes in behind them in the white Camaro. Heading down the backstretch, Bobby Allison takes the lead, Bonnet takes over the second-place position, and Waltrip falls back into third-place position. Seven-car collision. Mario Andretti still in his car in a state of shock, and Buddy Baker walking away from his car unscathed. And here's how it all happened. Mario, in the black car, tips Waltrip's rear end, causing him to cut Bonnet off. Mario continues to slide across the track and smashes into the concrete wall. Watch as Gordon Johncock in the turquoise car finds his way out of the mess, miraculously avoiding Bobby Unser, Buddy Baker, and Peter Gregg in the silver car. Another angle shows how Mario Andretti and Darrell Waltrip tripped off this amazing mayhem. From a camera placed in Gordon Johncock's car, giving us the driver's viewpoint and the realization of how crucial a split-second decision can be. Still Atlanta, and now it's Don Whittington's turn to crash in a hair-raising sequence. Coming out of turn number 4, his tail starts to swing, he tries to correct and damages his front end, then hits the inside barrier with an incredible impact. 1 Stock Car Racing Championship, and as such, you can expect to see the most breathtaking crashes. Like this one with Cale Yarborough. A grand national event attracts about 50 top-name drivers, all with the goal to win the race. Aren't the only elements required to win a race. A fast and efficient pit crew is also a critical part of the team. For instance, the Richmond Folgers pit crew. Of course, don't make the mistake of pulling into someone else's pit stop, as car number 32 does here, because no one's going to help you. And this is a field pit stop attempt which wasn't very successful. Bobby Allison's car loses its rear bumper, causing dramatic chaos between not less than 6 different cars. From the Midwest, USA Sprint Car Racing has been born, beginning as an amateur sport and later becoming, thanks to the non-stop action, a very popular attraction. Thousands of fans are gathered for every sprint car event to watch their heroes perform in one of the most challenging races in American motorsports. In slow motion, we see how demanding sprint car racing is, as the driver must constantly face the challenge of controlling the oversteering of the car caused by the dirt track surface. Jan Hooperman's front wheel touches another car, causing his car to flip over and over again. The flipping record breaker, the well-known Sheldon Kaser, as he loses his rear wheel and finds himself upside down, wondering what happened. Action is just everywhere you look. into it. Following in a very acrobatic manner, John Carson very quickly realizes what has happened and steps out of his car. Tobias, the Holman Classic champion. If you think daytime sprint car racing is exciting, wait until you see some of the nighttime action. Just how terrifying this sport can be as John Mills falls out of his car while it rolls over in the air at least 10 feet above the track. Paramedics and track officials are at the scene to assist the badly injured driver. Fairgrounds are the scene of the next crash. Jack Hewitt is thrown in all directions when his racer hits the wall and fire sparks highlight the horrendous impact. The track officials are immediately on hand to prevent any further danger, and thanks to the roll bar, Hewitt walks away. And was used for horse racing until 1956. Since then, it has become one of the most frequented West Coast motor racing grounds. Every year, over 1.5 million motorsports fans enter Ascot Raceway to see the best motorsports action in the West. Knoxville, Iowa, here are the last 3 laps of a Sport Car Club event. The leader, famous multi-time champion Doug Wolfgang. The other drivers are giving all they have as they pass like bullets in front of the camera. The checkered flag is up for the victorious Doug Wolfgang and his Wise Grip racer. Eldora, Ohio, and the wings on top of these sprinters are not for flying purposes, but rather they are the insignia for the world of outlaws. has a problem. The number 37 race car tragically crashes, leaving its driver trapped and injured. Speedway, Sacramento, where the dirt on the track is wet, causing the driving conditions to be 10 times more treacherous. And controlling the car seems impossible. The results? Thrills and spills with no end in sight. Flat track motorcycle racing. The all-out fury of 250 and 500cc Tourist Trophy or TT racing captured at its absolute best. So why would these guys want to throw their bikes sideways around and around an oval track, either pitching their bikes or being pitched by them? Maybe it's the thrill of sliding into a row of hay bales, or eating dirt while dozens of engines whistle past your head. But when it comes to the bottom line, these guys love to go fast.